Hello, my name is Sumin Che of the Youth Cultural course. It is a pleasure to be able to introduce you to what I'm going to talk about today. So today, I will be talking about various mythical or mythological creatures in Gyeongbokgung Palace. And I will be talking about how they have changed. Specifically, how they have changed in appearance, in meaning, or our perception of them in general. Or in some cases, I'll be talking about how their names' meanings have changed a lot. So now let's get started. First one I'll be talking about is the bat. Now when I say bat, you might be likely thinking about a Nosferatu-esque vampire. Or maybe due to the spread of COVID-19, you may be thinking of the virus. But back in the day, the bat was considered a symbol of luck. But Sumin, you say, bats are bad luck? Well, that's the Western thing. Because the Chinese character for bat was very similar in appearance and pronunciation to luck, people in Joseon considered bats as good luck. Hence, the bat carving on. Now, Ichi, some of you might be familiar with. It's a mythical creature which had a horn on the top of their head, which they used to put those who were bad officials or immoral. You may also know them because there's a statue of them right in front of Gyeongbokgung Palace. There are a lot of statues of them all over the palace, actually. You might see a couple of them on the bridge, and you might see a couple of them around the stone pits. You might see a couple of them around the platforms in front of the main building of the palace. Nowadays, this mythological being has been reborn as a city mascot. This little guy right here, very yellow, and, well, I'm fairly sure he serves the same purpose as he did back in the old days. When I say starfish, you probably think of this multi-legged creature of the sea, right here. But the same word for this in Korean, Bulgasari, was the name of a fire protector. It looked like a cross between an elephant and a saber-toothed tiger. And presumably it was also the size of an elephant. Most of the time it was carved into chimneys. In a folk tale, the Bulgasari supposedly was the size of a dung beetle at first. But the more metal it ate, such as spoons, iron ore, and all sorts of other things that are made of iron, the bigger it would grow. Supposedly it grew to the size of an entire city. Despite the more destructive side shown in the story, the Bulgasari was still regarded as a protector from fire. As a side note, to regale the tale of Bulgasari, once upon a time there lived a woman in a small cottage. While sewing, she made a small creature the size of a dung beetle, consisting entirely of rice grains. This doll was the Bulgasari. While she was sewing, the Bulgasari began to move amongst the fabric. She didn't pay much mind to it at first, but the creature gobbled up a needle. It suddenly doubled in size. Then it ate another needle. It doubled in size again. Alarmed, the woman threw a furnace at it. The Bulgasari opened its mouth and swallowed it whole. It now grew larger than the cottage, and as the woman dashed out, the Bulgasari inadvertently crushed the cottage. and yet it continued to eat all the iron it could see, growing to the size of a city. Precisely that moment, an enemy army came marching into town. Seeing as all their weapons were made out of metal, the Bulgasari immediately attacked the army and ate every single iron thing. Even though the army tried to kill the Bulgasari, it was indestructible and did not stop until every single sword and shield and piece of armor was eaten. Now powerless, the army fled. Only then did the Bulgasari begin to barf up the pieces of metal it had eaten. It belched out everything, even the needles it had first eaten, until it was the size of a dung beetle again. Through this, we can see that while the Bulgasari does have its destructive side, it still shows its role as the protector in the end. Now, here's a fun fact. Direct translation of both Jujak and Bonghwang is red bird. But really, neither of them quite fit the description. Bonghwang usually come in pairs, a male and a female. And if the king's ruling was leading the country to a peaceful era, the pair of them would fly above the country in a big cacophony of colors. Jujak, on the other hand, was one of 4 guardians of cardinal directions. Jujak was specifically the vermilion bird guardian of the south, hence its existence on the ceiling of the south gate of Gyeongbokgung and other palaces. The same goes for the other 3 guardians, which are the azure dragon of the east, the white tiger of the west, and the black tortoise of the north. The Kirin is similar to the Bulgasari in the fact that it's a rather double meaning name. Nowadays, we refer to Kirin as the long-necked animals you usually see in zoos, from Africa mostly. But originally, the Kirin was a very fast horse, which usually symbolized the officials of the court. It's usually theorized that the Kirin is also a variant of the horse that could run 1,000 miles in a minute, which is part of an ancient legend in most Eastern countries, and supposedly the horse that could run 1,000 miles in a minute was one of the steeds in the Sky Emperor's palace in ancient stories. I hope you have learned a lot about our mythological creatures thanks to my speech. Many animals have changed in appearance, name meaning, and role. Some, such as the Kirin and Bulgasari, have been relatively forgotten in modern media, and their names are now used to refer to other animals. I believe that it is important to remember what sort of animals our ancestors believed in, as in some cases, such as the Bulgasari and the animals that symbolized the 4 cardinal directions, can tell us what our ancestors believed in. And some, such as Ichi and Kirin, showed what sort of people our ancestors thought of as being good. This can lead into an incredible cultural insight that cannot be found anywhere else. In all, mythological creatures are an incredible part of culture to study. Thank you.